Hey guys, what is going on? It is me, BakiriBox12 here, and welcome back to another Realm of the Mad God guide video. So throughout the past about roughly 3 years that I've been making Realm of the Mad God videos, I've made guides on how not to die, how to get rich, how to get white bags, how to max a character, how to deal with death, etc. And despite having made, multiple videos on how to improve yourself as a player, I still get comments all the time about saying, "Can you help me? I need help. I lost my character. I watched your guides and I'm still dying. I need help. How do I get better at the game?" And this is a question that passes everyone's mind, no matter what it is. If it's a sport, if it's an artistic activity, if it's a video game, everyone asks themselves, or other people, at one point or another, how do I get good at whatever this is? In this case, Realm of the Mad God. How do I get better at Realm of the Mad God? How do I get good? How do I improve myself as a player? Well, I would hate to be really cut and dry with you guys, but how do you get good at basketball? You play basketball. How do you get good at acting? You act. How do you get good at a video game? You play the video game. If you truly want to get good at anything in this world, the only way to truly obtain those qualities necessary for excelling in a specific activity is to practice. You have to practice. How do you get good at speaking another language? You gotta speak the language. Immerse yourself in the activity. Yes, of course, there are those rare prodigies who just step up and are naturally gifted and talented at a specific thing. But if you go into this world thinking that you are that prodigy, 99% of the time you are going to be sorely disappointed in yourself. And that's just not a good thing to happen to you. So if you truly want to get good at Realm of the Mad God, you gotta get in there. You gotta go out. You have to suffer both the good and the bad of the game. You have to know what it's like to get loot for the first time, but you also have to know what it's like to lose that loot and lose your character, to die the very first time as well. And once you've experienced both the good and the bad many, many times, you'll learn from each experience. You'll become stronger. You'll become a better individual, a better player. You will know more. With every step you take, you become more knowledgeable, more aware about the game. And it may not feel like it, but every day that you spend online on Realm of the Mad God, you are improving. So to really answer the question, how do I get good at Realm of the Mad God? Play the game. That is all that you have to do to get good, but that isn't the answer that you guys are looking for, is it? You don't want something that's so brief and general and just it doesn't seem helpful, because it's like, well, geez, tell me something I don't know. I already know how to do that. In that case, I did say that the only way to truly get good is to play, but I can recommend a few shortcuts. But keep in mind, if you plan on cutting corners in anything, don't be surprised when it doesn't work for you, right? You're cutting corners. There is an off chance that, it might not work for you. I hate to even bring this up because it makes me sick to even consider this as an option, but technically it is an option for you, and that is you could use real money to buy the best items and a pet and food to level up that pet and then level up your pet yard and fuse it and get a legendary pet. Yes, it would cost you hundreds of dollars, but there are people out there who have done that to get divine pets and what have you, so I guess you wouldn't be alone, but don't do that. Please don't. I swear, I'm gonna make a video on the 7 deadly sins of Realm of the Mad God, and buying items is gonna be at the freaking top. So when you first play Realm of the Mad God, your starting character is the Wizard, and I think he's a great starting class, just a great class in general, to be honest. But if you wanna skip the formalities of unlocking all of the characters and trying them all out, which I don't really recommend, because here's the thing. Whenever I started playing, I played Wizard nonstop, all the time. I tried the other classes, I unlocked them just for the star upgrades and the Steam achievements and whatnot. But I didn't really enjoy them, and I paid no mind to them. I stayed with the Wizard because I wanted to stick to what I knew. But once it dawned on me, and it hit me, the boredom and the monotony of playing the same class and losing that same class. I maxed out my Wizard and I died, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I picked up the Knight and played it, and I loved it. I loved the security of having a maxed out Knight, because I maxed out his def, and boy howdy, was that an accomplishment back in the day, first of all, and is that a satisfying feeling to go up and tank all of those bullets that would have easily wiped you out if you were a Wizard. But since you weren't and you were a Knight, you could take it. That feels great. And it's because I dared to experiment and try something new that I actually became a better player. By knowing how the knight worked and playing as him, it actually made me better at the wizard. Once I returned to him eventually and played as him, I was better. I was a stronger player. And the same goes for all of you. Try out all of the classes at least once. And I'm not just saying like unlock it, get it to level 20 and then kill it. Spend a couple of days on each one. Get to know it. Really understand the class and what it is and what its pros and cons are. Try to figure it out and see if it's the class for you. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. Play a character that you like to play as, the one that interests you the most. The knight would probably be your best option because he has a lot of starting def. Heavy armor gives you a lot, and his shield will give you a lot as well, and who knows if you'll have a ring at that time with def on it. I would recommend the paladin for starting out because of his healing ability, and a party effect is good with friends. In fact, that's another one of my points that I want to make. If you really want to get good at Realm of the Mad God, bring some friends to help you along. It will speed up the process greatly. If that's not an option, well then, so be it, what can you do? Is the knight going to be harder to use than the wizard? Yes, because you do have to get up close and personal. But if you're a bigger fan of the melee gameplay style in general, then that's going to be the obvious pick for you. But let's just say, one of those two characters. The way that you progress in the Realm of the Mad God map is that you start at the beach, and you make your way into the very center, at the mountains, or the Godlands, whatever you want to call it. As you move from the shore inland, the enemies will get stronger. And so will you. You will keep on leveling up, your quests will upgrade, and you'll start fighting more deadly foes. This is the best way and the best time for you to level up your character. Keep an eye on the minimap and keep on going inward. This will speed up the process of getting stronger quickly. Instead of just farming a whole bunch of undead hobbit mages to get to level 20, actually move inward. You'll notice yourself getting stronger, and it will hopefully encourage you to keep on fighting. Once you've made it to like level 16 or something, you will start to enter Godlands. And it's a lot harder than Midlands and Lowlands and the shore and whatnot, so be extra careful. Obviously, I don't think I have to tell you that, it's a hard game. But once you make it to Godlands, if you want to just, quote-unquote, get good, farm Godlands. Farm it up. Practice dodging enemies. There's a plethora of gods for you to fight, so don't worry about running out. Take note of enemy patterns and learning how to intercept the next strike, knowing whether or not to fight an enemy or flee from the scene because there's just too many and it's too much for you to handle. If you do go about this method though, I definitely recommend the wizard over the knight because the wizard is much more farming friendly because he has a lot of range and the spell bomb is a very nice nuke. But either way, if you choose to use a wizard or a knight, the next step for you, I would say, is to start doing sprite worlds. Kill sprite gods and the sprite children, enter the sprite world, and if you are a knight, you're in luck because you have a lot of def and therefore can tank all of the sprites that are within the dungeon. And while it's true that the wizard can kill the boss without even activating it, if you position yourself correctly, using a knight to fight the boss isn't the hardest thing in the world either. If you don't feel comfortable doing the sprite world because it's your first time or what have you, I did make a guide on that, so if you want to go watch that, by all means, go for it. Also, something I should mention is to enable screen rotation. Off-center your player so that way you have this huge gap in front of you, and then use Q and E, or really whatever you want, but Q and E is more traditional, to rotate your screen. This will give you a much better sense of control, and the sooner that you master that, the sooner that you will improve. Once I switched to it, yeah, it was a little awkward at first, and it took me about a week or two to get used to it, but once I got used to it, my performance in the game improved by a lot. Also, enable HP bars. Now that you can see the life bars of enemies, you'll know when an enemy is about to die, and you can just go all out and unleash everything without any repercussions. And it just gives you a more sense of security, like whenever you're fighting an enemy without the HP bars, it's very unknown when they could die. So the end of the fight is equally as stressful as the beginning. But if you have a life bar to let you know where you are, you're not so left in the dark. But once you succeed in doing multiple sprite worlds, you'll notice that you'll accumulate a lot of dexterity, and whether or not you drink that is up to you, but you can use any excess dexterity to sell for defense. I mean, if you're lucky, I don't know how many people buy that these days, but if you have the opportunity to sell dexterity for defense, do it. It's so worth it. And naturally, once you get more familiar with the sprite world, you'll move on to snake pits, UDLs, Abyss of Demons, freaking Tomb of the Ancients and Shatters, why not? That is the natural progression of improvement. You start out with something small, and then you end up with something big at the very end. But you can't simply go from step 1 to 15. It takes a lot of time and perseverance in between. There is no get-rich-quick scheme here. I mean, yeah, it's true you could just spend a whole bunch of money and get the items necessary to be like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm a pro player. But that doesn't mean that you have the skill that you wanted. And it wasn't that the question in the first place, how do I get good at Realm of the Mad God? Having good items doesn't make you a good player. It gives you the illusion that you're a good player. I don't even think that I need to ask this, it's more of a rhetorical question, but what do you want more? The skill level of someone who has excelled in a specific area, or the trophy of someone who may or may not even possess those skills to begin with? I'm sorry if some of you guys are disappointed with the way that this video is going. It's very, like I said in the beginning, cut and dry. It's not elaborate, there aren't many tips I could give you. I tried my best, but at the end of the day, there's only so much I can say on such a general topic. And keep in mind, this is based entirely on my own experiences with the game. What you go through is almost entirely different from what I go through. Yeah, sure, maybe there are some similarities here and there, but it's not a complete replication. We are not the same person. We are separate and unique individuals in our own right. So if this video does not answer the question on how do I get good at Realm of the Mad God, then I'm sorry, that's just all I can do. I don't think there really is meant to be a one single straightforward answer to answer this question. I think it's one of those things where you have to go out and do it for yourself. Yeah, I can give you tips, and that's kind of what my channel is, but I can give you all the tips in the world and it won't mean a thing if you don't go out and do it yourself. If you have the perseverance, the reserve, the conviction to go out there and truly better yourself, then son, you are gonna get good. If you truly believe that you will succeed, and you put in the hard work, and you give it your all, your absolute best, then you will succeed. That's all I have to say. It's all I can say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to check out the next episode whenever I post it, which will probably be soon. Alright. See ya.